Hello, Bradford City fans, and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. Tonight we're here with episode 2 of City Central. That's our new podcast focusing on Bradford City. It's in line with our sister shows, Town Talk, Huddersfield Town, and Leeds Latest for Leeds United. And we're back, like I said, for a second week, so we must have been all right. We've done something right last week. Neil and me ran it last week. I think we did okay. I'm delighted to say we've got Bantam Kate with us as well this week. So there's 3 of us this week to talk all things Bradford City and everything that has gone on in the last 7 days. How are we, guys? Are we both all right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, good, thanks, guys.
I know a City win always helps. Obviously, we got that big game out of the way on Thursday night, Sheffield Wednesday away at Hillsborough. We've got to start there, really, guys. A 1-0 victory for City. I'll start with you, Kate. How did you think it went? Were you happy with the performance?
Well, the second half performance, definitely. The first half was a bit, they put us through the ringer a bit in those first 10 minutes. But yeah, the second half was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I thought we were great in the second half. Definitely a game of 2 halves, Neil. What do you think?
Yeah, it sort of feels like a long time ago now already, doesn't it, with it being Thursday? It's very strange playing on a Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I was worried after the first 10 minutes. I must admit, I thought, the cut-throughs a few times, didn't they, early on? And I thought, we could be in for a long night here. And, yeah, I mean, we had to dig in, because they were comfortably the better side, weren't they, in the first half? And, we didn't offer much of a threat. And I thought it's going to be a really tough evening, is this. You can't really pick out too many players in the first half that you thought are near the best. I mean, obviously, it was a really big night for Sheffield Wednesday, and they've got some really good players. Let's have it right. So I think we really struggled, didn't we, to get to grips with any sort of cohesion in the first half. But yeah, what a response in the second half.
What do we think changed at half time? I mean, I listened to both Alexander and Aidan Baldwin afterwards, and they just talked a little bit about being a bit more aggressive, a bit more on the front foot, and they talked about sort of believing in themselves and not being intimidated. That's the Bradford City we want, isn't it, Kate? Is that what you saw in that second half?
That was it, really. I mean, in the first half, they were just letting them go through them, and it was all a bit easy in the first half. And then the second half, they seemed to get a bit more aggressive. There was a bit more belief that they could do it. And yeah, there was a lot more, a lot stronger in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. Just more front foot work. It's like more the Bradford City we expect to see, Neil, in that second half with the press, more front footed.
Yeah, I mean, an early goal always helps, doesn't it? It was in the first 5 minutes of the second half, wasn't it? I mean, it's great to see how much of a threat we seem to be from corners at the moment. That's something that we've definitely been lacking the last couple of years. But, as soon as we scored, I just thought the game management was absolutely first class. We obviously played the game in their half. I mean, we just hardly gave them a sniff, did we? To be honest, I mean, it was so impressive. And some of our better players, they really came to the party in the second half. I thought Sars went a bit unnoticed, but some of the positions he picked up were fantastic in the second half. I mean, the 2 wing backs were terrific in Neufeld and Toure. And, at the back, they just looked super solid, didn't they? So it was just a really impressive turnaround. I mean, I don't think Alexander's the type of sort of manager to really get into them at half-time. But I think he just reminded them what a good set of players they are. And, they're better than what they produced in the first half. And, yeah, it was just great to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the wing-backs, actually. I mean, we know how key the wing-backs are to the way City play. You've heard opposition managers and opposition players say after games that we have to stop the wing-backs, and if we don't do it, Bradford will punish us. They were outstanding, weren't they? I mean, Neufeld, I think he had one moment in the first half where he went to sleep a little bit, and Sheffield Wednesday probably should have scored, really. But after that, he just never looked back. And the same for Toure. It's nice to see Toure getting his own chant in the second half. It's in the ground, people singing his name. I think he's a bit of an unsung hero. And then obviously Baldwin with the goals been it's another one who's had a great start to the season. What do you think? I just want to come to you, Kate, on McCracken. What do you think about McCracken so far? Because he actually got tested a couple of times, didn't he, on Thursday night? He had to make a couple of saves.
I don't know. I mean, in the first game, the Peterborough game, I don't think we really saw what he could do because there was like that one save that he kind of spilled, and then he didn't really have anything else to do. But in this game on Thursday, he was brilliant. Like he made, especially in that first 10 minutes, he made some really good saves. And I think obviously if we hadn't have made them, we could have been like 2 or 3-0 down like after 10 minutes.
Yeah, 100% agree. He was called upon and didn't let us down, did he, Neil? And I liked it. Showed a bit of character as well when he got knocked over by Harry Gray and sort of laughed about it, and as though he were trying to con a free kick. But it was nice to see us sort of playing that card. I think, I think he's done everything that's been asked of him so far in these first 3 games, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got something about him. I don't know if either you two saw the clip on the Cities Beyond the Whistle. Right at the end, as soon as the final whistle goes, it shows him giving a big sort of fist pump and a big leap in front of the Sheffield Wednesday cop.
Right, I didn't see that.
Which you just saw him turn around to cop and give it the big sort of thing. And I thought, yeah, he's got something about him. But everything that he's been asked to do, he's done very competently. His kicking looks very assured, and yeah, as soon as he's been called upon, he's just looked. He's looked a class act. So I don't think we can ask any more of him so far. Again, it's only 3 games in it. You've always got to caveat with the fact it is so early, but at this moment in time, he looks a find.
100% agree on that. We've had a comment come in from Andy. One of the first names on the team sheet, Torre, for him. Would you agree with that, Kate? Should he be one of the first names on the team sheet?
Yeah, I mean, you said he was an unsung hero. I think he was the same last year as well. Like he's done. He's played in different positions. He's done whatever's asked of him, and he's never really put a foot wrong. I don't think.
100% agree. He's never let anybody down. Play that left centre half role, that left wing back role. I mean, me and Neil mentioned him briefly last week, didn't we? And said that we both sort of said that up until Christmas last year, he probably in the running for Player of the Year with Torre, and it was only really Tyreek Wright's form after Christmas that kept him sort of knocked him down the pecking order a little bit. He ended up on the bench a little bit, but every time he plays, never lets anybody down. He's consistent. He's 7 out of 10 minimum every single week, and you know what you're going to get with him, a top pro. Just a little bit of a mention on Tyreek Wright there, because there is a rumour doing the rounds that he's going to be out for 3 to 4 months, which is a bit of a blow. I don't think that's been confirmed by the club yet. It's just a bit of an online rumour. I don't think they've actually said how long he's out for. That would be a big blow, wouldn't it? Because he was really good for us towards the end of last season. But with Torre there, and if we can bring someone else in to cover that wing-back role as well, I'd hope that we'd be all right. Now, a couple of players that we have been linked with today, really, there's been pictures of rumoured trialists in training again. One of them is a lad called Harry Mills, released from Brighton, a left wing-back. And another one is Sam Clucas, a central midfielder by trade, who's spent a lot of the last couple of years in the lower divisions, and I believe has also played at left wing-back a little bit. Now, we're obviously looking at left wing-back. I'm going to come to you, Kate, because you've done a bit of research on Clucas, haven't you, today? And I don't think the Shrewsbury fans speak very highly of him, do they?
No, they're saying that, because I remember him from about 10 years ago when he played for like Chesterfield and Mansfield. And people are saying that his legs have gone since then. So I feel like with the way that we play, with the fast tempo and the high press and everything, he might struggle to get involved because, he's a lot slower and he hasn't got the pace that we need. I've been told he's good from set pieces, but that's all they've got to recommend him, really, which is a bit concerning.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a concern. Maybe that's why he's been tried at left wing back a little bit by his previous manager, Appleton. I think you said that, didn't you, Kate? That they sort of moved him there. They thought he might be better suited to playing there. The fact that he can play centre mid and left wing back, would that be something that would appeal to you, Neil? I mean, I'm the same as Kate. I remember him sort of earlier in his career, really. I've not seen much of him recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's 36 next month. I mean, he's not really the profile of player that I think could get too many people excited if he got released by Shrewsbury at the end of last season. I mean, you know, if they're struggling to find anybody to give competition to Toure, then, you know, if he's the last resort, then, you know, maybe, but, you know, he's not going to be involved very much, I don't think, as long as Toure is fit. You'd hope that they can find someone. I mean, I think that because there's no loans, that, you know, you would be able to find someone to just bring in on loan till January, just to try and, you know, keep Toure honest. But then again, you know, if he is on loan, then, you know, will the parent club allow him to come if he's not going to play very much? Because it'd be very difficult to replace Toure with how consistent he is. You know, so he's a little bit tricky, really, to be honest. I mean, clearly, if Wright is out for longer than 6 to 8 weeks, he said, I think last week, didn't he? If it is longer, then yeah, I mean, they absolutely need to fill that position. And yeah, it's desperately disappointing if it's just something that he picked up at the end of a training session when everyone were really looking forward to watching Ty this season with how strong he was last season. But yeah, I mean, I hope they've got more irons in the fire than, I think, St. Lucas.
Yeah, Ian's just come in. Regular viewer of us is Ian. He says same as you, nearly did 6 to 8 weeks on Tyreek. If we are looking at other targets, that might be why we're looking at this lad, Harry Mills from Brighton. He's a young lad, a young left wing back released from their sort of under-21 squad, I believe, but he has played at international level, albeit for Cyprus. So we don't know what that means really, but they're having a look. I believe to be having a look at him in training as well. And then we've had a couple of other comments come in. One from Yusu Saleh, who says thoughts on the Blackburn lad, and Ian again, who says George Pratt being linked from Blackburn. There's a rumour gone round today, guys. I don't know if you've seen it. It's actually come from the Blackburn end that we're looking at this lad called George Pratt. He's actually a Bradford-born young lad. Plays at centre half for Blackburn. Been out on loan at Hyde and at Chorley over the last couple of years, but has sort of been in and out of the Blackburn team a little bit towards the end of last season. A big lad, a centre half. Do you think centre half is something we should be looking at, Kate?
I mean, for cover maybe, because Joe Wright has been out for a while as well now, hasn't he? So yeah, maybe for cover, because I think did Alexander say that they only had one defender on the bench the other day?
Yeah.
Which obviously leaves us a bit short if anything does happen to anybody that we've got already. So I mean, maybe for cover, but I don't think it's something that we'd be looking for a regular starting position.
Yeah, would you agree with that, Neil? It wouldn't, anyone that came in at centre half wouldn't really. You wouldn't automatically think there'd be a starter. There'd be more, as Kate says, someone who can cover when needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alexander said that they were hoping that Joe Wright were going to start training again this week. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, it'd be nice to get him involved on Wednesday just to get some game time. With obviously the quick turnaround to Plymouth coming up. Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, then you find someone similar to Toure that can play left wing back and maybe left centre back. I mean, that'd be pretty difficult to obtain, but you know, Ibe can fill in very well at left centre back if required. I mean, he was pretty seamless there, wasn't he, when he dropped in last season? So at least that gives you an option. But as I say, they definitely need to bring a left sider in. There's no question about that. Along obviously with the no full competition that we spoke about last week.
We've had a comment come in. Do get your comments in, guys. I like getting comments in, and it proves that people are watching the show and enjoying what we do. Gaz and Nick, I know, is a regular viewer of the show. I think this is in relation to what we were saying about Clucas. People were unsure about Lapsley at the start. Graham Alexander has his trust. I think that's fair to an extent. I don't think Lapsley, probably not in the same age bracket as Clucas, but one that did have his doubters when we signed him. And I thoroughly agree with what he's saying in his last part there, that Graham Alexander does have our trust with these signings, doesn't he? I mean, the signings that we've made over the last couple of years, barring maybe January this year, the signings over the last couple of years, particularly since Sharp came in, have been really, really good, haven't they? So I do trust them to do what's right. And as we've seen in pre-season, Kate, we did have trialists in the building on training, didn't we? And we didn't. The only one we signed was Reece Welsh. So there's absolutely no guarantee that these players are going to get deals. They've got to earn it in training, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think Graham Alexander looks a lot at personalities as well. So they've got to gel with the squad as it is, and they've got to show that they can play for the team, and they've got the right personality attributes as well. So I'm guessing they'll be looking at that as well.
100%. It's very reminiscent, isn't it, of this attitude and the work ethic and the running through brick walls. It's I don't like saying it, but it reminds me of the Phil Parkinson teams in a way, that attitude that you had to have came first and foremost. And I think that sort of buys into being able to play in front of a big crowd as well, doesn't it? Being able to handle the atmosphere, being able to not sort of become a shrinking violet. And I think that's a really good point to make, Kate, that, he'll see that, won't he, in training. He'll see what their attitude's like, what the work ethic's like, and decide from there whether they're worth taking on. I mean, just before we move on from Thursday's game and sort of tied it right and the fallout from there, Neil, what do you think? How big a win is that on Thursday? I mean, people will get quite excited. Obviously, going to Sheffield Wednesday, taking the 3 points. Sheffield Wednesday, big club, expected to do well this season. They have 30,000 fans in there on Thursday night. It's the first game under the new ownership. I actually thought it's possibly, given those two factors, possibly one of the hardest times to go there this season. Is it? How big a win is it? Is it? Am I right in thinking that, mate?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's, especially with how much they'll have been up for it with the new era. So, I mean, it's a really, really good result. I mean, and also the fact that we're the only team that's actually won both games so far, which is quite a bit bizarre. I mean, I can't think that happens very often where there's only one team wins their opening 2 games. I mean, it's a lovely position to be in. But, I mean, clearly we really want to enjoy victories like that because, it became a bit of a struggle at some of the top places towards the end of last season when we went away from home. So it was a really, really good result. But yeah, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday are in transition, aren't they? So we've always got to caveat it with the fact that they've got a lot of new players that they're trying to blend together. So, I mean, if you put the atmosphere and the occasion aside, it might have actually been quite a good time to play them without them fully gelling, from that point of view. And, let's be honest, it could have been a very different game had, 1 or 2 of those chances slipped in the first 10 or 15 minutes. We did great to dig in and obviously win it in the second half. But if one of those chances goes in early, we could be having a slightly different conversation. So I don't think we need to get too carried away, but it's a terrific result and, just the start that we wanted.
I think that's really fair. It had kind of crossed my mind as well. You're right. They've got a lot of new players, haven't they? They're taking time to gel. It's new relationships. It's new squads. So you can kind of see both sides of it in that respect. One more thing. I did say we'd move on from that game, but there's a comment coming from Andy Watson, and he just says he thinks we'd walk this league with a James Hansen up front. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that comment in is there were a few people, and I was one of them actually. I thought that Jake Beasley got nothing out of the referee on Thursday night. I thought he got pulled from pillar to post. I thought he got kicked left, right, and centre. And we know, trying to think of the referee's name, it'll come back to me shortly, but he's a referee that we've had issues with before. He was the ref at the Tranmere game last year. Parsons, that's it, Thomas Parsons. Now, I didn't think he had that bad a game on Thursday night. I thought he did all right, to be fair to the referee. But there was that sort of feeling that Beasley was getting nothing. And that's something we're used to at City, isn't it, with our big strikers? So that's why I brought the comment in from Andy about James Hansen. Reminiscent of Andy Cook and James Hansen getting pulled from pillar to post, Kate, and getting absolutely nothing out of the referee.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I did think on Thursday that there was a lot that we could have had that we didn't get with another referee. So, but yeah, I think he is going to be like that. But he looks like a hard worker, and I think if he keeps working hard, he'll definitely get the fans on side. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. It looks like a right grafter, doesn't it? And I think once that first goal comes, I think he'll be a real threat for us. Speaking of first goals, I noticed today there's a rumour going around that Ethan Wheatley, our former loanee, might be signing for Lincoln in the Championship. Now, who would have seen? Would either of you two seen that coming last season?
No.
When asked about him, I said, Kate saying there about Beasley working hard. I said, well, that's possibly the only thing you could, not the only thing, but one of his redeeming qualities was he did run around a lot, but his finishing was left a lot to be desired. I said today in one of the group chats that I'm in. So that's an interesting one. I think you mentioned before, weren't he being linked with Everton, Neil? Did you say at one point?
Yeah, that was a rumour a couple of weeks ago, which I think, I don't think anyone could quite believe. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange player, having watched him for a few months. I mean, to me, I think that obviously probably him and his agent have got ambitions a bit higher, but ideally, for me, he should go to like a League Two club that's going to be challenging at the top of the league. That's going to sort of, basically, create a lot of chances to enable him to get some confidence. Because the one thing that you looked at him, you just thought he's not a finisher. If maybe, like, for example, if you put him alongside, Langstaff at Salford or something like that, whereas he's got, someone to bounce off that's obviously a really good footballer, you can see them sort of gaining confidence. But it's the sort of looks like there's a player there, but you can't put all the parts together all at once. So yeah, I mean, having watched Lincoln as well on Saturday, I'm not quite sure he'd make much of an impact there from what we saw last season.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a big step up in it, and he obviously didn't score for us. Like I say, he did work hard. He did run around a lot. I thought he looked like quite an intelligent footballer at times. Some of the runs that he'd made, but he just couldn't get that goal. And it was a little bit like, was that? We talked about it at the time on the Monday night show that we used to do. He missed his debut was at Luton, and he went through 1-on-1, didn't he? And he missed. And I said to the lads, I really hope that's not a butterfly moment for him, but I feel that it was, and he never really sort of recovered his confidence in front of goal. Gaznick's coming again, Kate, agreeing with you about the right personality and traits to fit the squad. That's a big part of what Graham Alexander's all about. And he also says that not many clubs will take 3 points at Sheffield Wednesday, so at the very least, it's a great confidence boost ahead of a tricky away trip to Plymouth. Now, we're going to come on to Plymouth and the Burnley and Plymouth game shortly. I'm just hoping that result on Thursday night might be a little bit of a marker in a good way. In that, I remember, and that was talked about after the game as well, that when we went to Stockport at a similar time last year, and again we got battered for the first 45 minutes. I think we came out of it only 1-0 down, and we turned it round in the second half and won. And if we can do something similar and use that game as a bit of a springboard, that'd be great. If we can have another run like we did last year. Now, just looking ahead to the Burnley game on Wednesday night, sadly, and I'm absolutely gutted, because I grew up in Skipton, and in Skipton you'd either Leeds, Burnley or City. Or obviously you get your Man United and your Liverpool fans everywhere, but a lot of Leeds, a lot of Burnley, a lot of City in Skipton. And it would have been a good game for me to go to, but I'm actually driving down to Devon on Wednesday with a family, so I can't go to the game. So I'm a little bit disappointed on that, but I believe that they've done a £5 ticket offer. There were 19,000 seats sold as of yesterday, and Burnley have been given some more seats today, I believe, in the top tier of the TL Dallas. What are we expecting from the Burnley game, guys? Are we expecting a lot of changes from City and from Burnley? And are we thinking that both teams will go similar with a similar lineup to what they've done in the league games? I mean, I've watched Burnley the other day when they drew 2-2 at home to West Ham, and then I believe that they lost at the weekend, didn't they, in the second league game? So they could perhaps do with a win. How do you see City lining up, Kate? Do you think Alexander will make changes, or do you think he'll go strong again?
Yeah, I think there will be a few changes, because I mean we've got the game on Saturday, and then there's another game the following Tuesday. So there is quite a few games in quick succession. So I think there will be a few changes, and it'd be good to see some of the players that haven't got the chance yet so far this season, I think.
Yeah, I'd get rid of that, Kate. I think he will make the odd change. I don't see him making loads, though, do you, Neil? I mean, he's normally one that likes to keep a fairly consistent team, isn't he? So, as Kate says, there might be the odd one just simply because we've got to go Saturday, Tuesday straight afterwards. So, there are sort of 3 games in a week in a way. But he does like to normally go strong in the cups, doesn't he, Graham Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if the wing backs change, because we don't have any to change them to do it. to be honest, but I'd certainly expect. I mean, I'm feeling Cartwright might come in for Sars to give Sars a breather. I might be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens just with Plymouth. A couple of days away afterwards. I mean, he can rotate the front 3 fairly easily, can't he? And doesn't really make a massive difference in terms of quality. I mean, does he fancy giving Powell a start? Give him an hour. See how he gets on. He can play Swan from the start, can't he? Made a really big impact when he came on Thursday. Did Swan? I thought he was really good for the half an hour he came on. And he's a really good presser, isn't he, Swan? And he'll probably play Phillips from the start. Now he's sort of maybe up to speed fitness wise. Just have a real good look at Phillips from the start. So I don't think the load change, but there might be 4 or 5 potentially.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I remember last year we obviously had 2 really good results in the cup, Blackburn and Stoke, didn't we? And a similar amount of changes then. Maybe half the team changed, half the team kept the same. So you might be on the right lines there, Neil. It's interesting that you mentioned Swan actually, because when everyone's drawing up the squads at the start of the season and looking at 2 players for a position, who can play here, who can play there, I sort of had Swan down as a bit of cover for the main striker. But it's been interesting that in the friendlies and when he's come on at the start of the season, he's actually played on that left-hand side where we're used to seeing Bobby Poynton. Now, that kind of leads me into another comment that's come in from Andy. What's happened with Humphreys? Will he ever play for us again? Now, that's an interesting one in itself, because obviously we had the big debate last year about, was Humphreys a striker? Was he a left winger? Was he? And Graham Alexander was quite adamant that he'd been signed as a striker, and he'd been told as such. But as the season progressed, we did start to see him on the left-hand side. Now we know he's had his fitness issues during pre-season. He's missed some training with an illness. He didn't go to Austria because his wife was due to give birth. So is it just a case of? I mean, me and Neil did talk about this last week, didn't we? And we were sort of split as the goods and the bads of keeping him or letting him go. Where do you stand on it, Kate? Would you like to see Humphreys stay, or was he someone that you'd be not too disappointed if he moved on?
I think that there'll always be something he can do, but I think because he's rumoured to be on quite a high wage as well, so I wouldn't be too disappointed to see him go, because I do think we have improved in the forward areas over summer, so I wouldn't be too disappointed to see him go. I mean, I'm guessing the stuff over pre-season is obviously just bad timing for him, but it doesn't look good for him, and I didn't get the vibes at the end of last season that he was particularly happy. He wasn't playing the position he was used to or comfortable with. He didn't seem to know what position he was supposed to be playing in or what was his best position. It might be best for both parties if he does move on.
Yeah, I can see. We did talk about it, didn't we, Neil, last week, and I think we both sort of agree with Kate there. You can see positives and negatives of him staying or going. I mean, if Swan is going to be used as sort of the left-hand sided cover for Bobby, that might sort of only leave you with a Powell as cover for Beasley. Now, if Humphreys was to go, I mean, I'm really hopeful with Powell. I think that it's that old caveat, isn't it? Can he stay fit? Now, if he can stay fit, I can see him being a real positive for us this season. I mean, he's looked good when he's come on for cameos towards the end of last year. He's looked good in pre-season. Got his goal against Peterborough. It was an interesting. What led me on to this, Neil, was the point you made. Now, can Powell start a game? Can Powell give us an hour on Wednesday night? Now, that's the big question with him, isn't it? And I think if he's not capable of doing that and he doesn't start the game, and Graham Alexander doesn't start him on Wednesday, it could be a case. Do you think if Humphreys goes, we might then look at bringing a forward in to help Powell and Beasley sort of as a third option?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Caden Jackson can play down the centre, without too much of a problem. I mean, I think the team news on Wednesday, I think one of the most interesting parts will Humph be actually in the squad? because you'd have thought he's fit enough now to at least be on the bench. I mean, Alexander's made it quite clear that he's not been available just simply due to fitness so far. He's not made any sort of suggestion that he's on the way out. I mean, I actually think in an ideal world, Alexander would probably want to keep him. He's championed him many times, in interviews, etc., hasn't he? But I think if it's made clear that for us to bring other people in, that he may need to move on, then I think Alexander's probably pragmatic enough to accept that, right, if we need to make space and, he's not going to get the starts that he would have certainly got last season, then, he may well move on before the deadline in a week or so's time. But yeah, I'll be really interested in the team news on Wednesday. But yeah, because Swan can play central, Jackson can play central, Powell can play central, and Beasley can play central. So I don't think it's a priority when you look at other areas, like we've mentioned, like, the wing backs and, potentially the centre midfield spot that's up for debate.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'd agree with that. We've actually had a comment come in and someone's thrown a name in there who I've not heard of before. Steve Kirsting says Kyle John from Port Vale is another rumour. He was their player of the season in 25-26. Now, that's not a name I've heard about. I was listening to you there, Neil, but I had seen that comment come in. So I actually went on my phone and Googled Kyle John. Sorry, go on, mate.
Did he used to play for Bolton, Kyle John?
I'm just looking now. No, he's a defender who 25 years old, been at Port Vale for 2 years, was at Everton as a kid. He's not a name that I'm familiar with. Are either you two familiar with him?
No.
We'll have to leave that one there, really, because he's not someone I've heard of. I mean, Steve, if you know anything more about him or you can add any more credence to that rumour, do get in touch again. It is good to see us getting comments in tonight, guys. Really enjoying the comments coming into the show. Loving the interaction. Ian's come in again saying he thinks that Leicester and Wednesday will find it tougher than a lot of the pundits are saying. I think that's a really fair comment, guys. I think that coming down to League One, we saw it last year, didn't we, with Luton? Teams don't get it all their own way. Obviously Leicester got beat on Saturday. I believe that it's a long. I can't remember the exact stat, but it's a long time since Russell Martin won a league game, given his spell at Rangers prior to coming to Leicester. I think Ian's absolutely spot on there. We surprised teams last year, and I think that those two in particular could be shocked at how difficult it is in League One. Would you agree with that, Kate? We made it really difficult, didn't we, for teams last year?
Yeah, no, I mean, Leicester haven't won. Leicester didn't win last week. They've not won yet. And I think it does take the teams that come down from the Championship a while to get used to what it's like in League One and, the physical side of it, and the battles that they're going to have that they don't necessarily have in the Championship. I think that takes a while for the teams to get used to. Sheffield Wednesday we saw on Thursday, I think when they click, because you can see they've got some good players, I think when they click they will be really good, but I think it's going to take them a while to get used to each other, and it's going to take them a while to gel with each other, and I think that will take time. I mean, we did see with Luton last year, they did get much better towards the end of the season, and at the end of the season they were unlucky just to miss out on the playoffs at the end. Maybe the same will happen to Leicester and Sheffield Wednesday.
That's a really good point, and it's something that kind of moves me nicely onto Saturday's game, because you're spot on, Kate, in how Luton got better as the season went on. Obviously, at City, we saw how we surprised teams with our high press and not allowing them time on the ball. And I think it takes teams that have come down from the Championship, like your Lutons, your Sheffield Wednesdays, your Leicester, it takes time for them to realise that they can't have the ball and play it all their own way. And Luton did take a while to get going last year. Another team that took a while to get going last year, Neil, Plymouth, where we go on Saturday. Now, Plymouth have had a slow start again. I jotted down before we went live that they drew with Wickham on Saturday, but they lost to Stockport at home on the opening day, so they've had another slow start. We saw how toxic it got at Plymouth at the start of last season, how the fans were very, very much on Cleverley's back. Now, he did turn it round in the second half, and similar as Kate mentions to Luton, Plymouth were unlucky not to make the playoffs towards the end of the season. How do you see Saturday's game going, Neil? How do you rate his chances going down to Plymouth on Saturday?
I'm a little bit concerned about Saturday. I must admit, just simply due to the turnaround from Wednesday to Saturday all the way down to Plymouth. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I'm hoping we do actually do a little bit of rotate on Wednesday, just to try and keep us as fresh as possible. I mean, I don't know when they're going to be travelling down. I mean, I guess it'd be Friday. I mean, hopefully they can treat them to flying down, you know, rather than, you know, that journey that similar to what you'll probably be making the day before, by the sound of it, Gaz. So I must admit, I'm a tad, because I think they might be at home to Coventry on Tuesday in the cup. So I think they have got a game midweek. Hopefully, my memory's serving me right there. So you know, they're still playing, but that 24 hours can be quite important. You know, but it's early on in the season. I don't like doubting this team because they keep showing up for us. But yeah, I must admit, I'm just a little bit nattered about, you know, Wednesday to Sunday, all the way down to Plymouth. But, you know, we've started the season well, so, you know, who knows. But if you'd offered me a draw now, I think I'd probably take it.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? And you're right, that 24 hours does make a big difference for me as well, because I'd have been able to go to that game on Tuesday night, and I can't go now. It's Wednesday, so I'm disappointed. And like you say, it's 24 hours less rest time and a long journey. Now, Andy's saying, come on, Neil, bit of positivity. We'll batter Plymouth. That's what we like to hear. We like a bit of positivity. I can be negative enough for everybody. I'm always the negative one, so it's good to see some positivity coming in. And Paul's got in touch and says, evening all, read the Burnley team selection. Mike Graham Alexander gamble with a stronger side in the hope of winning and possibly being rewarded with another big payday against the Premier League team in the next round. I think that's an interesting one to think about, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, teams do that when they're anticipating the bigger clubs coming in. We obviously got it with Newcastle, didn't we, last year? So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. Another comment that's come in from Rocco. He's saying Humphries is never playing us. He's never going to play for us again. Any takers? Now, interesting thought. We've discussed that. We don't know here at the West Yorkshire Football Show, City Central. We don't know what's going to happen with Humphries, but obviously Rocco feels that Humphries is gone, and I think there'll be a lot of people who will be thinking similar. It remains to be seen what happens. I think we've got about 7 days, is it, guys? It's 7 days left in the window, so we're going to be looking at, obviously, I think we're obviously looking at wing-backs, as we've said, and it'll be interesting to see if Humphries goes out, if we bring anyone in up at the top end of the pitch. Just before we finish, guys, a couple of interesting points that I wanted to mention. Last Thursday was Graham Alexander's 150th game in charge of Bradford City. I'm going to come to you first, Kate. Just how big a job, how good a job has Graham Alexander done for City in those 150 games?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't think I can put it into words as well. You know, I can't, because I mean, when he started, I mean, I remember that Harrogate game. Was it in 2024?
Yeah.
2023. Sorry, I might have my dates wrong there. But I was at that Harrogate game and it was absolutely terrible. And I thought whoever comes in has got a massive job. And obviously Graham Alexander wasn't. It was well documented at the time that he wasn't the first choice. So everybody I think was a bit unsure of what he would do. But he's done an absolutely amazing job. He's given me memories that I will have forever. And his drive to just get better and better every season is brilliant. And he just seems to get us as a club. And that's what I like more than anything, I think, is that he just gets what we want as a fan base. That, like, it doesn't. We want people who try and do everything for the team. We don't necessarily have to be the best players or the best team at any point, but we want people who give their all, and I think that's what we've got from Alexander and from the team.
I think that's absolutely bang on. Would you agree with that, Neil? It's the way he identifies with the Bradford public, the Bradford fan base, and that sort of eking every inch, every last drop that you've got left in you out of you when you go onto that football pitch. And we really buy into that, don't we, at City? I mean, we saw how it didn't really work out for Graham Alexander at MK Dons. They're into more that I'm stereotyping here, but it's the sort of the fancy football, the big signings, the lavish way of playing. Whereas City, we want to see grafters, don't we? We want to see people go out on that pitch and die for the football club. And Graham Alexander really, really buys into that, doesn't he, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of pleased to say I think I'm one of the few people that were actually pretty pleased when he got appointed, because I just felt I'd watched him over the years, Alexander. I remember him putting together a really good Scunthorpe team when they were sort of challenging with us in League One. And I also watched the famous Salford documentary when obviously Alexander was in charge of Salford. And I just really enjoy listening to him. You could just tell he's a real football man. You know, bags of integrity. You sort of know what you get with him. And I just thought at the time, it just feels like actually, after a few, managers that were broadly welcomed that didn't do particularly well, I thought, actually, this appointment does feel like it could work. And just the more low-key nature of it, I thought, actually, this as long as he's backed, which eventually, he has been, then, this could really work. But, I mean, he's just, what is it? He's won 49% of his games. I mean, he's already sort of starting to climb, isn't he, in the pantheons of our sort of greatest ever managers. He's going to start to be in that conversation. Certainly, by the time he leaves, he's going to be well in that conversation, isn't it? Certainly, modern managers.
Absolutely, 100%. And that what you mentioned there, Neil, by the time he leaves, let's hope that isn't anytime soon, because obviously there are rumours already doing the rounds, and I think people are putting 2 and 2 together and maybe getting 5. Let's hope that they are. But we've all seen the start that Preston have had in the Championship. We know what a hero he is at Preston. Let's just hope that they turn it around and they don't come knocking. And if they do come knocking, that he's not tempted to jump ship, because what a fantastic job he's done at Bradford City Football Club. A couple more comments come in. Steve giving us a bit more background to the Carl John comment. He says Carl John's Instagram suggests that he's off, and some Vale fans think that he's coming to us next week. That's a bit of context to the rumour that he came in with earlier on. And Rocco says, as is the way now, if a fly on the wall documentary was made about Alexander's time with us, I'd suggest a working title of Straight to the Air. What a man. I think that's really apt. Yeah, we'll go with that, Rocco. Thanks, pal. Also, one more point before we finish. We've talked about Graham Alexander. One more bit of news that broke today, and it goes along the same lines of what a job Alexander's done. But Kate reminded me before we went live. I was going to mention it and I'd forgotten. It's been announced today that Ante Sarcevic has signed another new contract at City. He's going to be with us for an extra year. In a similar vein to how we talked about Graham Alexander, we've got to talk about Ante Sarcevic in that same way, haven't we, Kate? I mean, what a job he's done on the pitch for us at City over the last 2 years.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is stuff that goes unnoticed as well. I don't think it's not just about his goals. And the goal that he scored that wasn't really his, but we don't care. But it's not just about those. He does a lot of stuff that's not noticed as well. I mean, like Thursday night, for example, he did a lot of work, but he didn't get a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You mentioned that earlier, didn't you, Neil, about how hard he works on Thursday night. It's good that you've both sort of identified that, because we have obviously big talking point around City so far this season and in pre-season was that central midfield. Sarcevic, Neil, just a few points on Sarcevic from you before we finish. Anything you could say about the man?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really bright footballer. You can tell why he's had so many promotions and why I think maybe Bolton aside, he's pretty universally popular at all of his old clubs. They all talk about him pretty fondly. He's had a few injury problems with us, but touch wood at the moment, he looks really fit, really hungry. And I think it's reward for just what a good player he's been for us. You know, he's fully committed, eye for a goal, and yeah, I mean, you can understand why he's certainly been given the captaincy. Speaks really well. You know, always sort of, you know, talks about how much he's enjoying his time here, and yeah, I mean, I think he's, you know, he's well and truly sort of committed to this football club, and you know, I almost think he's got with this extra year, he's thinking, you know, if we have the dream season and we do get promoted this season, next year, you know, he'll be a championship player. You know, because you know, if he signed an extra year's contract and we do go up, then I'm pretty certain he'll be involved next year. So yeah, it's just been a terrific signing, and yeah, I don't think you'll find too many Bradford fans that have anything negative to say about Anthony Sarcevic. Top player, top guy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was interesting, wasn't it? And I think you were right there. He's one of those signings. He's been a game changer, hasn't he? Graham Alexander was a game changer coming in as manager. Anthony Sarcevic has been a game changer coming in as a player. I was told when we signed him how good he'd be for us. I was unsure at the time about signing another attacking midfielder, but what a signing he's been. And now seeing him dropping back deeper this season into a role he played a little bit at Bolton and a little bit at Stockport, he seems to have adapted to that really well. It was interesting when they've announced his contract extension. They had the graphic behind him of City captains, and they had McCall, Jackson, and Smallwood. I can't remember. There might have been another one on there as well. But yeah, hopefully he goes down as a legend for us. I think he will do, despite what happens in the future. And like you say, mate, if we do have the dream season, we get promoted, what a journey it'd be for him to go from the conference back up to the championship at his age would be absolutely phenomenal. I think we'll leave it there tonight, guys. It's been really, really good having you both with me. Thank you both for joining me. We go to, obviously, we're at home to Burnley on Wednesday night in the League Cup, and then we go to Plymouth on Saturday. Here's hoping for 2 victories to continue our fantastic start to the season. Onwards and upwards with the West Yorkshire Football Show. Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.